Why are we wearing headsets?
We're wearing headsets to make this look like a professional operation.
But it's not. We're not professional.
It is a professional operation.
No, we don't work for anybody. Certainly don't work for you, and I don't know why I'm wearing your headsets.
Jake, we are a team. Okay. We are a brand. We have our own logo in the background here.
I had a very busy day today, really busy, and you called me and you said, we've got to do a podcast. We've got to do a podcast. You've been itching. You've texted me every 3 hours for 10 straight days. When are we doing a podcast? When are we getting out there? What are we going to do? And then you wanted to do a press conference.
I did, yep.
Yeah, the only people that would attend a press conference would be the two of us. And so I thought that would be awkward. And now I've got these headsets on.
Sorry, did you not see the Indy Star write not one, not two, 3 separate articles about us?
Okay.
Mario freaking Andretti signed a petition for us to keep our job, along with Alexander Rossi, the winner of the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. Okay. It was an amazing outpouring of support from everybody, not only from Indiana. I heard from people all over the world. Bangladesh. It was crazy. It was crazy how many people I heard from.
Okay.
There was a prince in Bangladesh who said he had a $500,000 check for me.
What about, really?
Yeah, all I had to do was send him $2,500. The Nang Fong probably picked it up. I did not check the Chinese newspapers. Probably picked it up.
Let me say this, Derek. For a very long time on this program, when we were doing it, a radio show, Query and Schultz, our intro, of course, was, I would say, this is the incredibly creatively and appropriately named, now charitably award-winning Query and Schultz show, because we were the 2018, I guess it was, on-air personalities of the year in our building. And believe me when I tell you, we were the only on-air personalities in the building. And that certainly is true now. But kidding aside, we are strictly now, Derek, the incredibly creatively and appropriately named and truly charitable Query and Schultz program, because you are correct. Look, you did, the two of us, when we left our position, did a television interview that night at Channel 13, who were very good to us. The Star did a nice write-up on us. You did, I know, Channel 59, I did Channel 8. Mm-hmm. And I remember telling you, look, this is going to be like a 12-hour story, and you need to, because I've been through this before. I have my PhD in this life experience, and I knew that the dust was eventually going to settle, and we went back to persona non grata, and everybody went on about their way. I'm taking these off. This is ridiculous. They're very cumbersome. But, and then we'll go back to making fun of each other. But I will say this, the number of texts that I received, the number of emails, direct messages, things like that, I was quite frankly overwhelmed by it. And I'm very realistic to know, Derek, that 50% of the people that stood up for our cause, which is very appreciated. I realize the storyline is what people were compelled to. A big corporation, 2 individuals, and people just connect to that. So I think there were a lot of people that probably had no idea who we were, but, thought they felt sorry for us, and so they jumped on board with that. But the number
completely disagree, but I'll say my part in this coming up here.
The number of people that reached out to me and pointed out things about our show that they enjoyed, and little things that connected with people, and people saying that they remember us doing this for a cause or this for an individual, or making them laugh about, most notably, your shortcomings. Truth be told, it made me realize, and I mean this truthfully and sincerely, that I always just felt like we did our radio show. And then it dawned on me that we were doing kind of everyone's radio show. And I think people that listened to our show felt like they were a part of it, and that was very gratifying to me and very satisfying that people felt connected to us just because we were that transparent. And I think what it came down to was that I am very appreciative of everyone that reached out, but it just comes down to the fact, Derek, and this is one of the few times that I'm ever serious with a microphone, but when you just conduct yourself as decent human beings, then that allows the decency in other people to then be paid back to you. Mm-hmm. And I was shocked. I figured that half of the comments would be, well, those guys were terrible. No wonder they're no longer doing a radio show. And I didn't see that. And it meant a great deal to me, being from Indianapolis, to know that what we did connected and brought some enjoyment to the people of Indianapolis. Now, a lot of people have asked me, what are we going to do next? I went out and shaved my head.
I noticed, yeah.
Well, it's just easier because, I don't have time to be taking showers because I have such a busy schedule now.
Shampoo is expensive.
Yeah, it is. That's right. This cuts down on the cost. So, in terms of what's next, we'll work on that. There's no concrete answer to that right now. There are, fortunately...
Somebody really wants to keep the band together.
Yeah, okay.
Somebody desperately wants to stay hitched to this wagon.
Do I need to show my text messages from...
Somebody desperately wants to stay... It's okay.
You have 17 text messages from Derek Schultz.
It's okay to admit.
What are we doing? Are we getting back together?
Very, very
Where are we going to work?
That I was done with sports media and that I was going to move on to another job. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, my friend. I want to keep the band back together, too. I mean, obviously, I have a lot more brand recognition and I'm younger, so it's kind of a different set of circumstances because I have people just beating down my door for opportunities and all of that. But I would like to, because we're close friends, I would like to stay together in some sort of a capacity.
I would like to get something settled soon because I want to go to Australia. And I've actually thought to myself, here's my chance to go to Australia.
To Florida next week.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute. Yeah. And I've got some stuff coming up with racing. But sincerely and genuinely, a heartfelt thank you to everyone who enjoyed what we did. You just kind of go in and do a job and you don't realize that people connect to it. I figured there were 14 people listening at all times.
And you were wrong.
And 80% I realized that said they listen now are doing so because they feel bad.
No, it's okay to admit that you were wrong, Jake.
But it was very, very, warm. The few days afterwards were very warm and helped us through what obviously you always know is a possibility, but still nonetheless, things get turned upside down a little bit, and it absolutely helped to know that many people were willing to hold the wheel for us for a while.
For sure. And the petition and all of that, meant a lot to me. When I first got here, I first moved to Indianapolis in 2006. And when I first got here, I started an internship at ESPN 950, which was WXLW, which doesn't even really exist anymore. It's a simulcast with a news talk station now. And a guy that I ended up living with for 3 years, who's a good friend of mine, Chris May, who runs the Basketball Hall of Fame up in Newcastle, told me, at least I think it was Chris, that's the way that I've always retold the story, it's really important if you're not from here for people to know that you love it here.
Right.
And I always kind of took that with me in the sense that I think...
Why are you wearing headphones?
It looks more professional this way.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there's an understanding here in Indianapolis.
We're volunteering.
And Jake, you can speak to this because you're a lifer. It's important for people who are outsiders to love and embrace the things in Indianapolis. Why is Paul George remembered poorly here? It's because Indianapolis embraced him and he never hugged them back, right?
I would agree with that.
So not to compare myself to Paul George, for lack of a better analogy, even though I think we're both very talented, that was always really important to me was, I grew up in Connecticut. Yeah, I say Jimmy's and Tutties and all that stuff, which is a nationwide thing now, but used to be kind of a regionalized thing. But I deeply, deeply love this city. I love the people here. I'm raising my family here. We're here. Like, I'm not going to do mornings in Boise. I had an offer to do mornings in Boise. I said no. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to leave.
Was it at Denny's?
Indianapolis. Like, I had some more substantial offers than that. I didn't share with you because I don't want to crush your hopes of keeping the show together. Okay. I love it here. And to hear back from people, that was what was
morning in Boise is no small potatoes, though. That's
okay. See, this is part of the reason we got canned. Okay. That was what was so important to me. It was nice when people said, "Hey, I love the show," or "Hey, Tutties and Jimmy's, and you were funny," and Jake and you. All the kind words were great, but the ones that meant the most to me were when people said, "We know how much you love the city and how much you guys were passionate about helping people in this city or diverting attention to causes that were worthwhile in this city." And that's really what kind of stuck with me the most through the fallout of this. Because that's what I wanted to convey. It was really important to me. It's always been easy for you. I've never met anyone in my life who loves his hometown as much as you do.
That's probably true.
So you're the big part of that, but I wanted to be part of that too. I don't want people necessarily to identify me as, hey, that's the East Coast kid that went to IU and then he doesn't use his season tickets and he's a jerk. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be as Hoosier as possible, if you will.
Yeah, that's fair. So that concludes our podcast, right?
Oh, no, we got plenty more to talk about here.
What else are we going to talk about?
I wasn't just going to do like a 5-minute thing.
Are we doing buy it or bull, Schultz?
You know what? I'm actually talking to a lawyer later today about taking ownership of buy it or bull bleep, and because other people have tried with us being out of the picture to trademark that. Okay. So I've had to be very protective of what is ours, and buy it or bull bleep is strictly mine.
Are we doing Jack's Donuts, Shut Your Donut
And
Hole?
I have to get a file of trademark. You know what? Why don't we mention the sponsors as well? Because we just mentioned the listeners.
Man, I hope we don't forget people.
But Larry at KSR, first and foremost. I mean, Larry's blown up my phone right after it happened with what happened and all of that. We went into, actually, we had a really nice, just a friend dinner, just two friends hanging out, having dinner.
You and Larry?
No, you and me at Keystone Sports Review the night after it happened. Had a couple of people come up to us, which was cool. That was always our home base. And
no, Derek, the reason I went to that was not to have dinner with you, but because Larry had told us that he'd go ahead and pick up a pizza for us. And, as I think he felt bad, and I started counting my pennies and thought, well, okay, it's free meal time, right? Mm-hmm. And he writes us off on his taxes now, so that helps.
After years of dry toast and cottage cheese, in the wake of us getting canned, Jake housed an entire pizza and 12 wings. You had the Brandon special.
I have all the time in the
KSR.
world to go to the gym now, Derek. I'm doing 6 miles a day. I did 6 miles last night.
I know you can't see right now because I'm wearing a flannel, but I am super jacked as well. Like I'm like really like I got out of the shower this morning and I was like, whew.
Yeah, okay.
Damn.
Sure.
I better get hired soon here.
There are a number of people that we should thank in that regard. Obviously, Larry at Keystone Sports Review at 56th in Keystone.
56 in Keystone, yeah.
The best pizza and wings around Indianapolis, and Larry is and was tremendous to us. Love Heating and Air. Chris and John Love, Phil Love, they've been around for 100 years, and loyalty, I think, is a big part of that because they're loyal to their customer base, and they showed loyalty to us from day one. And I've known those guys my whole life. They're like brothers to me. But, you really do find out in those moments the people that you are glad you have in your corner. And that includes Love Heating and Air, DeBrand Fine Chocolates up at the Fashion Mall, River Crossing. Lori
I went in
Bill.
to see Lori.
That's
and
right.
Libby was in there from sales, which was crazy.
I don't know that
Just
you're supposed to say that.
Oh, am I not supposed to?
I mean, you got to be understanding here, Derek.
Why? We're friends with Libby. Why can't I mention that she was there?
Okay. I don't know what business she might have been conducting. She was getting some fabulous chocolate, right?
They were eating chocolates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course they were.
I mean, what else? It's the brand, right? You have to have the chocolates.
Of course.
But Lori's great.
Now, you've got
they've
plenty
been
of
great
time to work
partners
in your
with us.
yard, so it's good that Green Arbor is going to come by, right?
That's right. Dan and Tim, they were with us really from day one and did all kinds of great tree work for me personally, and I hope that I delivered for them with biz. Anytime anybody said, hey, Schultz, who's that tree person you hawk for? I always mention them. I used to go on Nextdoor threads where people ask for tree recommendations and type in Dan and Tim.
You
Green
live
Arbor.
on Nextdoor threads. Weren't you part
Now
of that?
I do.
Weren't you part of that wife swap deal?
No, it's not.
was that called?
That's not what it's called. It's not a sexual thing, Jake. It's Indie Midtown Swaparoo.
Okay.
Where it's me and 4,000 indie moms.
Are you swaparooing Midtown?
And we sell stuff. So I sell I buy and
What
sell.
are you selling now?
Diapers, like old baby clothes, toys.
What about our
gently used
What about
items?
our old shirts with the FM logo? Those are collector's items now, right? Have you been selling
I
those?
did sell those.
Yeah.
The demand was very high.
I'm sure it was, yeah.
Problem was that most of those were just GUC and not VGUC. So that was the sale price was lower. Oh, GUC is good use condition. VGUC is very good use condition.
You're on a wife swaparoo and you're assessing
it's not
VGUC. What? I mean,
it's and then
okay,
it's
sure.
real easy. So you post the item, you tell them what condition it's in, and then whether it's PPU or drop off or whatever it is.
What condition would you say I'm in now? Now that I'm on the market in the swaparoo, would I be GUC?
You don't. That's not how it is.
People tell
Jake.
me a lot
It's
when they look at
items.
me. They say, "You look GUC," and I say, "Oh, sure, yeah."
That's what I told myself in the mirror this morning.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
It's just items. That's all
Midwest
that it
Jewelers
is.
and Estate Buyers in Zionsville. Brian was great to us. We did a live remote there. They have a wonderful selection of estate watches. The Watchatorium is great. They're another one that was on board with us for a very long time, and it was very much appreciated.
Dave and Buster's was always with
Very
us
good
for
to us.
many things. We did a lot of our NFL season kickoff parties
Great
there.
place to watch games.
We did NCAA tournament watch parties there. And they were great partners of ours. They were actually the show sponsor going into 2020. And I was really looking forward to kind of continuing that partnership.
Panacea CBD and as well DraftKings from a national standpoint for me. I know FanDuel.
Yeah, FanDuel for me. I mean, that's how I'm putting food on the table right now is parlays and stuff like that. So
okay.
FanDuel's been very important to me.
Okay.
But I don't want to feel like we're leaving anybody out because we had all kinds of great athletics partnerships too. Purdue was an amazing affiliate of ours.
They were great to us.
Tom Schott and Chris Foreman and
The
Elliot
Indians.
Bloom.
We were supposed to go to Indian spring training. Obviously, that got shelved. But one of the first people to reach out to me, Randy Lewandowski with the Indians, Bruce Schumacher as well.
Randy was a big listener to the show.
Next day and had a nice conversation with them. And the Indianapolis Indians, there's no better summer tradition than going out to Victory Field. So, obviously, it'll be nice now to be able to go and just kick back and have a craft beer and a hot dog.
Yeah,
Howard
pay for the
Pellman's
tickets
reached out
now.
to me as well. Huh?
Got to pay for the tickets now.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the deal, Derek. Right?
Well, I don't have the funds that I used to. You still have the IndyCar money, which, I'm not going to say publicly on this or any other platform, but when I saw that W-2 that one time, oh my God, it's unbelievable.
Okay.
You wonder if Mr. Penske's going to shut the faucet off here pretty soon.
Okay. Well, if he does, the good news is I don't have to wash my hair.
That's true.
Now, the Super Bowl, it's funny to me because, I did kind of just hit the reset button and just kind of step back a little bit.
I did too.
And,
yeah.
Last night I thought to myself, oh, wow, it's Media Day. And Media Day used to be such a huge deal. It just kind of, and I understand with the news of Kobe Bryant and that tragedy taking place that it took the back burner, but it's not, the old days of, oh, isn't this hilarious? Like here's Rupert from the Letterman show trying to interview, quarterbacks. And I think that stuff jumped the shark to the point where the 2-week gap as well, and maybe it's because it's San Francisco, which is so far away, and Kansas City, the first time being there in 50 years. How about Kansas City Steve, by the way? He's
good for him.
Super excited. Milton,
his dog,
official dog of the show, is a Chiefs fan. They're super excited. But the game should be a good one. But to me, I haven't followed day by day by day everything going into it, admittedly. I've been trying to plan this trip, and I can't figure out when I have the window to go to Australia.
What was hard for me was not being on the air to talk about a potential AFC South AFC Championship game, which it looked like was going to happen.
You missed being on the air, didn't you?
I did. I very, very much so because
that's proven by the
Jake,
text messages.
You only had this run.
You called me one day and you're like, "Can we just talk for 30 minutes about the AFC
that's
South?"
That's not what happened.
And I said, "Are you kidding me? I'm reading a book. I woke up at noon and I'm going to the gym."
If you want to do this, I have the receipts here.
Yeah, okay.
So
feel free.
I can put that out there.
Yeah, you have.
I'm not going to do that because you're a friend. But there are lots of missed calls on here, and they're pretty much all you.
Those were after
and then like
meetings
ESPN and national stuff. People have been hammering me about job opportunities. So, there have been some other missed calls in there too.
I wonder how they filled the time in Boise.
But yeah, I miss being on the air because I had when I stopped my job at 9:50, I was off the air. Friday was my last show, and then Monday was the first show of Query and Schultz. So literally, there was no interruption between my last on-air job and this job. So I had been on the air in some capacity every single day, every single weekday, since the first week of January of 2008. So it had been 12 straight years.
Is this live right now, or are we like later then telling people we did this? So
we're going to post this later.
So this is not live?
No.
Okay. So people can't, you can't look right now and say, oh, we have 38 people watching.
No.
Okay.
I didn't want to just spring it on people. I wanted to give it a little bit of some pre-promotion.
Yeah.
Because obviously our brand is even bigger than I thought it was. Remember, I called this the rocket ship, and you laughed at me, but this is some sort of a space vehicle because of the outpouring that we have been able to get.
There is no doubt about the fact, and I say this half flippantly and half seriously, we did a radio show for 8.5 years, right? Mm-hmm. We got more marketing and promotion in the 10 days following it than in the 8.5 years total that we did it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we should really have Dana from the Indy Star on retainer as our PR person.
Look, Derek,
she's great.
I think, and now I'm actually going to get serious again, but I do think that, we have made friends with a lot of people in Indianapolis, just personally, not necessarily professionally. And it was rewarding to see that people, had our back is probably the wrong term, but the people supported us.
Yeah.
And genuinely, I think everybody understands the realities of the business. Nobody more so than me. you're learning it. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, this is the first time you've been through it.
Yeah,
and
no, you're right.
You know, it takes some getting used to. The daytime TV is not very good. I've noticed that. Is that Steve Wilkos still on?
I think so.
It's stuff like that, right? People throwing chairs over, wife swaparoos and stuff like that.
It's not wife swap, Jake. Yeah, the first couple of days, I'm not going to lie. The first couple of days, you put a good face on it and you say, I'm a positive thinker, and it was a good run. And I tried to respond. I couldn't even respond to all the tweets. There were so many of them, but I responded to all direct messages, emails, anything, Facebook message, and anything like that. I responded as much as I could, mostly because I didn't sleep for 3 nights.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, is it over? I have no life skills. What the hell else am I going to do? But on Friday,
I remember when you texted me that.
Yeah.
14 times.
On Friday, I was with my, son all week because Ashley had started a rotation on Tuesday night. So she was overnight Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and she's sleeping mostly during the day.
It was weird when your son asked you, Dad, why are you here?
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah.
It's awkward.
He has a little trampoline down in the basement. And, he likes to jump on the trampoline. And, I'm still small enough, even though I've built a lot of muscle over the last 2 weeks, I'm still small enough where I can jump on the trampoline with him and not break it. But then he's got these 2 plastic fireman hats. And we actually got him for his first birthday party. It was a fireman-themed birthday party. And it now finally fits him because they're for toddler-age kids.
It's fitting that you got fired for the birthday party, right?
Can you just relax? I'm trying to have an emotional moment here. I'm trying to tell a story, a father and a son and all of that.
As you were.
And it was Friday morning, and it's 10 in the morning, and the days are going so slow, and it's just excruciating. I'm on 2 hours of sleep. I'm all stressed out, and we're jumping on the trampoline with these hats, and my hat goes flying off, and he thinks it's the funniest thing ever, and then his hat intentionally flies off, and now we have this game where he calls it bumpy hats, where we're not even bumping hats, but the hats fall off. And Friday morning at 10 a.m. was the first time, so 3 days removed from when it happened, where I thought, you know what, I just kind of looked at his face, and it's my little baby boy, and I thought, everything's going to be all right. It's okay. I think selfishly, Jake, anytime something bad happens to you, you think, oh my God, this is just the worst thing ever. I'm worse off than everybody else. This is a disaster when you're staying up in bed and all night and all of that. Look, I would love for this to continue. I'm very hopeful that this is going to continue. I'm not going to get into specifics about that, but there's maybe a chance that somewhere, sometime, somehow this will continue. But if it doesn't, 8.5 years is an amazing run. I got to do.
Derek, this is great news. Look what they've brought in for us. Hang on just a second. Let me present to you.
Oh, my God, really?
I want to present something to you here.
Okay.
Here you are.
Mike, we're having this emotional moment, and then this happens.
But just out of curiosity, what did you say it's called? Bumpy hats?
Bumpy hats.
That's a subsection on wife swaparoo, is it not?
Would you stop?
Look what they've brought for us, Derek.
Look at that.
And I thought and they were supposed to send this to me. They told me that they were going to send me stuff.
Oh, God.
And I truthfully said, well, can you send me the clown painting?
I don't want that to make
Mostly because I wanted the company to have to pay for the shipping for the clown painting. That was the biggest reason I wanted the clown painting, but here it is. It's a beautiful piece of art.
What I was saying before I was interrupted was we got to do all kinds of cool stuff. I went to a Super Bowl where the team that I grew up rooting for played in my new city. And Jake and I didn't even, should we say that we didn't have clearance to be down on the field? We still get on the field?
Yeah, we can say that.
Okay, is the statute of limitations
We don't
over?
have clearance to be in here.
We were credentialed media. We did not have clearance to get down on the field. And we got down on the field. I don't know. You just said, just act like you know what you're doing.
Right. It's my entire life.
And I scooped up confetti after the Giants won the freaking Super Bowl. I met and interviewed Patrick Ewing, my hero. We went to all kinds of cool places. New Orleans. I just had a blast. We talked about it on the show. Derek. San Antonio was an amazing trip. We laughed. We cried.
I got a thing today on Facebook that said, you and Derek have visited 10 places together.
Yeah. That's right.
I thought, honestly, my first thought was, you've hacked into my account, right?
So part of reflecting on all of this, I thought to myself, if this is the end, which I hope it's not.
Did you like that Doors song? This is the end.
No, I've always found it kind of depressing. And for both of us, you know what we really gained from this job? A lifelong best friend. For each of us.
You're right.
So that's really what we.
And here he is, right here. Yes, this is Squeaky.
How did they not throw that in the dumpster yet?
They
just left that in the studio.
I told them I wanted it shipped to me, mostly because I wanted them to have to pay for the shipping.
Just awful.
It's a lovely piece. This is the kind of thing, though, if you watch Antiques Roadshow, which is kind of like that wife swaparoo. This is VGUC. And this is probably like a Picasso and is worth $2.5 million. And I'm going to be the story that you're going to see on a national news story where someone sent this painting to us as a joke because Derek doesn't like clowns. It hung in the studio for a couple of years.
With no return address on it.
Upon our departure.
And no identification like,
Upon our departure, I claimed it as my own.
This is from Robert.
This is worth millions of dollars.
Like, it's so creepy to me that there was no name, no note. It was wrapped in like a shopping bag, a paper shopping bag.
It's a Rothsprat.
What the hell does that even mean?
It's the name of the artist, Derek.
Yeah, don't do that. That's one thing that I don't miss, is that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I don't miss really much of any of it, to be honest with you.
Well, you got... Well,
but I miss being able... Let me say one thing, because I know that this was... on social media, I put this out there, but there might have been people that listen to our show that don't follow me on social media that were unaware of this. But our last show was on a Monday. Of course, we didn't know it was our last show. And as a matter of fact, we haven't talked since the Clemson-LSU game.
That's right. Yeah, doesn't that feel like a year ago? Yeah. Oh, my God.
And you knew, you knew going into the half of that game, you knew it was over because LSU was going to get the ball back. They're up 4 at the half. So I was resigned to the fact. Now, the Ohio State guy at my gym, I saw him 3 days ago, and he came up to me, and this is exactly what he said to me. Now, it's been how long since Clemson and Ohio State played?
A month.
And this is the guy that gave me 24 points and now refuses to pay me because he said that Ohio State got robbed by the officials in a conspiracy. Fine. So I saw him a week after the LSU-Clemson game, LSU handily beating Clemson, and I had told him, I think LSU will probably win by 10 to 17 points. It could have been more than that. But he came up to me and said, I watched that game, and Clemson was holding on every play against LSU, and that only further shows that they had to have done that against us. And I'm like, look, man, it's been 3 weeks. I've lost my job since then. I shaved my head. I'm over it. But at any rate, on the Monday night before we were laid off, after the Clemson-LSU game, which ended at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it was late.
It was late. And I couldn't fall asleep. I just couldn't fall asleep, which is not uncommon for me. And finally, at literally 4:30 or 4:45 in the morning, I'm like, all right, I'm punting. I've got to get some sleep. I didn't know why. I couldn't fall asleep. So I went to the pharmacy, 24-hour pharmacy, to get a prescription filled on Zolpidem, which is Ambien, whatever. So I'm getting it filled, and I'm waiting in line. And I thought to myself, so on Friday night, I walked into an armed robbery at the gas station, which I told on the air on Monday on our last show. And there's a gun that I'm looking at. And then Monday, I'm a diehard Clemson fan, and I'm watching them in the national championship game, and they get obliterated by LSU. And I kind of like LSU, so, whatever. And I can't sleep, and I'm now at the pharmacy at 4:45 in the morning. And I thought to myself, can it get worse than this? Well, 6 hours later, I got the message, and I called you and said...
And you told me. That's how I found out.
That's right. I said, look, man, our number was called on a spreadsheet. Yeah. But I had talked on the show on Monday about the gas station attendant. When I walked into this armed robbery at a gas station on the north side of Indianapolis, I had the easy job. I walked in, and the watchman at the door, it was a 2-person robbery, put a gun to me. But the clerk is being held up, and he's the one, of course, that has to, he's got to hand over his money. And then I told the story. The next day I went in, and he was working again. And I said, I can't believe you didn't get the day off. And he said, well, I was given the option, but I couldn't afford to miss the hours. And so I did the GoFundMe. We talked about it on Monday. Well, then, Derek, I realized, and I say this half kidding, but I thought, well, now I have to absolutely verify that I'm handing this money over to him because everybody in the city knows that I'm now unemployed. And I didn't want people a month later to say, hey, whatever happened to all that money that Jake Query was taking in supposedly for this clerk? So I posted that I handed over to him. And this is, I think, a very important part to me of what our show represents and the people of Indianapolis. That gentleman was living in a not ideal situation with his family of 5. He walked to work, and I was able to meet with him about a week after all of that went down. and hand over to him donations from 272 people that totaled $7,940. And someone else via this program reached out to me with a job opportunity that would allow him to work overnight like he was doing, but in a locked building by himself, with benefits and salary. And so when I handed over the money to him, I've been in touch with him since. He bought a nice new, used obviously, but new for him, car, reliable transportation. The remaining money that he had left over allowed them to get out of the living situation they had and get a down payment on an apartment. And he has been in communication about making the change for that new job. And that, to me, it's fun to talk about the Pacers. It's fun to talk about the Colts. It's fun to talk about IU and Purdue and Butler and the Indians and the Fuel and whatever else. That's what I would most miss, is the platform to be able to illuminate people like that in Indianapolis, and knowing the loyalty and the generosity of the people that listen to this program, which is just because the people of Indianapolis are that way, and being able to help out in situations like that, to me was it was very satisfying to be able to represent all of those people in doing that.
Yeah, of course. And that's why I always said, and you kind of made fun of this on the show, is that it's not just a sports show. We like to talk about local issues and things like that,
okay,
which are really important to people.
Right.
And, all kidding aside, it was an amazing thing that you did for this person. And
I didn't do anything.
It was a life-changing
I just
thing.
simply...
Yeah, but you got the ball rolling.
Fair, but...
Look, the city kicked it in motion, but you got it rolling.
And with that, Derek, I was appreciative to have that ability to do that. And truth be told, I appreciate the fact that iHeartMedia believed in the two of us nearly 9 years ago and gave us that opportunity for 9 years, which was like 8 longer than I thought it would last. And through it all, the most important thing is I got someone that no matter what happens from here on out, I can lean on or look towards to give me a smile on days when it's not there.
Thank you.
And that's Squeaky.
Okay.
Who now comes to my house and is right next to the Charles Manson letter. If you come to my residence, you too can see the handwritten letter from Charles Manson hanging next to Squeaky. I just named him.
Can we also thank the Bob and Tom crew for allowing us to use the studio here? Tom Griswold has been just awesome. A guy that we really connected with over the years from being invited on to do the Colts Roundtable. But yeah, Christy Chick, Bob Kavoyan, and the whole crew here.
Josh,
we've obviously got Offsets in the back. He's not required to do this. He's running audio for us. Jeff is running backup video for us.
Spangle.
Cookie's in here too. Spangle. Drew Carey let me in because I had to go to the visitors entrance, which is the weirdest thing ever. But everyone here on this team, Grace, and even the people that have since left, like Joni and everyone over the years that we've worked with Bob and Tom, have just been awesome. And it's great to get to do this. I just wanted to do something like this, Jake, and this is the reason that I was blowing up your phone.
I've got a treadmill reserved for 20 minutes from now.
Because
are we about done? It gets very crowded. We're still in the New Year's resolution period. Because
everyone's like, why aren't you starting a podcast? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? We have to work through some stuff. It wasn't just one of those things where you're laid off and then that's it. You're just free agent. There are things that I'm not going to get into specifics. There are things that we're trying to work out to see kind of what the next steps are. And we would really like this to keep going in podcast form or whatever form it's going to be. So I wanted to kind of let this be sort of an update to our millions of listeners that this is happening.
Including those of you just waking up in Boise.
3-star articles, Jake, okay? You can make fun of it if you want. There were 3 articles.
I didn't want to create, and I understand why it would happen, and no one's a bigger cynic than I. I didn't want to create a fatigue. I didn't want people to be like, my gosh, these guys won't go away. So
I don't think people can get enough of us.
Yeah, okay.
Personally.
Okay. Yeah. You know who
the
can't
demand
get enough,
is there.
You know who can't get enough of you?
Who's that?
Squeaky.
Okay. Well, I'm throwing that right in the dumpster.
This thing is beautiful.
Cookie, it's going right in the dumpster. I know you have cameras back there. I'm not an employee anymore. I'm throwing that right in the dumpster.
Beautiful.
I'm going to light it on fire first.
Here. Isn't that great? It's nice. VG.
So we hope to have. Don't steal my terms. You stole tutties. You stole everything else from me.
I didn't steal any of those.
So we hope to have news soon here about what's going to happen next, and I'm hopeful. Because clearly our brand power is substantial.
Derek, I've told several people this. I was 99% convinced that you were going to get a job at Jack in the Box as the drive-thru operator because they offered you a microphone. You were getting a little antsy. Patience is a virtue.
Jake, this is my life. This is who I am. I am Derek Schultz, broadcaster.
Okay.
Without that, I mean, yeah, I'm a dad and all that. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay,
can we edit that part out?
No.
This is on tape, right? I'm kidding. I love being a dad. It's been nice having time with my son and more family time. Not that I didn't have family time before. I mean, I feel like I was a pretty good family person before. But I do miss this, Jake. I mean, this is all kidding aside, this is part of who I am. Like, I wanted to do this since I was 6 years old.
I get it.
And so to not, even for 2 weeks, to not have the opportunity to do it.
No, I mean, it's
hard
definitely,
for me.
it's weird to do the same thing every day. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And then after 48 hours, you're like, sweet.
And I did all the work. So this is really not a change for you. It's just you don't have to drive over here. Yeah. So really that's the only change in your life. My life is, prepping guests and putting up stuff for the website and all of that. And I would think that your life hasn't changed much at all.
That is correct.
Yeah. Certainly you got a pile of IndyCar money to sit on. I mean,
if you think
you're doing just fine.
All right. So where do we go from here? We just basically say thank you and see ya. And then, we go radio silent until we have any new news. Yeah, right?
It's not goodbye.
Okay.
It's not. And when we have new news, we will let you know. I got to go to Florida next week.
This was the same speech they gave us.
But outside of that, we'll keep you guys posted because there is a thirst sounds kind of weird and sexual. A hunger for Query and Schultz. Like, people want us in their lives.
We've said the same
miss
thing
us
for 15 minutes now. Can we wrap?
I'm just saying they miss our banter. They miss our good looks, even though you shaved your head for some reason.
Okay.
They miss my scent. All of those things are things that this city misses, and I want to provide that to the city of Indianapolis.
All right, enjoy the Super Bowl.
All right, you too, man.
All right.
See you guys.